Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon. Long time no see. It's the deep dive, or at least it will be in a few minutes. And I've had a lovely morning. Went out to Thornbury with Anna, and had a little drive around. A few people I just saw kick us go. I should have come. I will come and see you at some point, KK. But at the moment, it's a little bit scary out there, if I'm honest. And lots of love to all our Welsh colleagues and Welsh friends. And wishing you all the best as I think you're about to go into lockdown on Friday. Don't know how much longer we'll be behind you, but I shouldn't imagine it'll be long. So who's here? Hello, Charlotte. Lovely to see you. Hello, Terry. Hello, Anna and Kit Kat. It's been ages. Fabulous. Hello, Biddy. Hello, Sue. Oh, fantastic. Well, whilst I'm getting ready, I've got some questions on the screen. The email address is not for you to send your answers to, by the way. This is just my email address if you have specific questions. But this is a little bit of a pre-session series of questions. What do you think the definitions of these terms are? And what do you think the differences are? And I'm not going to ask you to put your answers in the comments and to say, I think it's this or that. Just what do you think this is? And I'll put up what I think the answers are when we start. And we'll see how we get on. Hello, Albert. Good to see you, sir. Interesting thing to see. Kit Kat says, I missed the hilarious bit about the delivery of food and getting it in the nude. That sounds like an email and a half. I'd like to hear that. Hello, Lisa. Lovely to see you. And you can do the session live. That's great. Hello, Fiona and Murray. Lovely to see you as well. Oh, Brill. Hello, Jill. A very good morning to you. Oh, fabulous. So Charlotte has, it's absolutely soaking wet. You've had to change your clothes after a dog walk, but gorgeous autumnal colours. Yeah, that's the payoff, isn't it? Absolutely soaking wet, cold, but the colours are so beautiful. I love the weather at this time of year. I've mentioned my dad a few times on the channel. He didn't like hot weather. He didn't particularly like cold weather, but he did like this time of year, and he called it intellectual weather. He said it's the kind of thing, he said, people write poetry about this time of year. And I thought he's right. Seasons of mists and mellow fruitfulness. Absolutely right. There's also plenty of, that lovely Flans and Swan line? Mist and fog should not do it to a dog. There's plenty of poems you can write about this time of year. Fabulous. So, lots and lots of lovely people coming. Hello, Peter. Great to see you. Thank you for that. Well, the thing is that Haydn is so nice, but there's so much stuff. It's very densely packed. And in fact, since we're here and we're talking about the Haydn, I can tell you a little bit more about it. So Joseph's brother Michael extended this Gloria. So it's an elongation. I like that. Elongation by Michael Haydn. The original one is absolutely... It's actually shocking what Haydn did, let's say Joseph Haydn, what Haydn wrote for the first go, his version of the Gloria. I mean, it really is. You can imagine the priest's face the first time it was played, because as I've said, it's if you've got the score that I shared with you all for the Kyrie, it's all four lines of the Gloria. Everything up until Cum Sancta Spiritu is sung, with the first soprano taking the first quarter, the alto taking the second quarter, the tenor, and all sung at the same time. I mean, it's absolutely barking mad. It makes no sense at all, but it's all done in 20 bars. And you kind of got the idea that Joseph was really fed up of spending his Sunday mornings listening to these extremely long glories. He thought, well, I'll just write a truncated one. And it's pretty clear that in order for it to be deemed acceptable and performed, well, anywhere except where Joseph Haydn was living, they needed to extend it, and so his brother Michael did this elongation, which we've just sung. So it's very lovely. It's simpler than Joseph would have written. Michael Haydn was not as as talented a composer as his older brother, but still lots of lovely music in there. But I love the fact that Joseph Haydn was a real card, was Joseph Haydn. I'm not sure that everybody knows, but there's a huge amount of fascinating history about him. He was a chorister, as many of these composers are. Grew up as a young boy singing in choirs of churches and chapels and cathedrals, and he was thrown out of the choir, which is a big deal. Bear in mind, that's where you got your education and you got, this was your direction. His voice broke and he was one of the back row, and he cut off the ponytail of the boy in front of him in the middle of a service and was duly, summarily dismissed from the choir. I can kind of see why it's rather cheeky. And then he went to work for an amazing family, the Esterházys, and he was their court composer for decades. I mean, literally decades. The vast majority of Haydn's symphonies and so on were produced for the Esterházys at their massive, massive stately home. And after I think 2 decades of working for them, he desperately, desperately wanted to leave their employ and go and see the world. You know, this was a very sheltered environment with a court orchestra and a court choir, but they never let him go and travel. And you know, the stories of these great composers, Mozart and so on, Handel, they all went on these massive pilgrimages. They went to Paris, they went to London, they went to Rome and soaked up the style, and then came back and were more productive. Haydn desperately wanted that, and they wouldn't let him go, which led to the writing of this wonderful symphony known as Farewell. And I love this. So all of the players on stage, and this is actually written into the score in the fourth movement, the last movement of this symphony. It's written into the score that one by one, everyone starts together, and one by one, each of the players is to put out their light, so extinguish their candle, take their instrument, and leave the stage. And so one by one, these musicians all leave until what's left is a single viola, which was Haydn himself. And you can just imagine at the premiere of this, which was to his employers, the Esterházys, says, now I will present the Farewell Symphony. And of course, who's left on stage scraping away at the end but Haydn? They got the message. They got the message and they let him go. They released him from his contract. Now, it wasn't a case that he never returned. He returned regularly and he wrote all sorts of wonderful works for them. Many of the later masses are written for the Esterházys. But Haydn was then freed to go and explore the world. He came to London, had an amazing time here in the UK, we kind of adopted him, as we do. You know, a nice composer comes on, Handel comes along, so yeah, we'll keep you, thanks very much. Haydn comes along, yeah, we'll keep you. Mendelssohn, yeah, send them all here, they're all British. Haydn's a really interesting character. If you want a slightly grisly story for Halloween, not now, but Google Haydn's skull. There's a very interesting and rather macabre story about that is worth looking at, but it's not for sensitive eyes. So a very good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Deep Dive. This is our time in the week where we can talk about music theory, we can talk about music history, and it's an unashamedly geeky, nerdy musical celebration. And this is one of my favourite bits of the week because I spend a lot of my time teaching all this lovely music, and what I want to do, as well as teachers, is explain how it all works because I find it endlessly fascinating. So we're going to be looking today, as promised everybody, we're going to be talking about minor keys. Okay, minor key signatures, how minor keys are constructed, and we're talking not just about keys but minor scales, and how you can start to spot whether something is in a major key or a minor key, because I've had a lot of questions about that. That, I think, is the most asked question that I've had over the last few weeks. So first of all, before we start though, a very good afternoon. We've got 53 people online. How fantastic. Lovely to see everybody. Hello Chris and Diane and George and Gloria and Michael and lots of other people who I haven't had a chance to say hello to, but it's lovely to see you all. So I put these questions up on the board for you to have a think about. Okay, so what do you think are the differences between these terms? And again, I get these questions a lot, as you'd imagine, and so I'm just going to move this so I can change my slide here. There we are. So pitch, tone, note, and key. Let's answer these questions hopefully now. So the pitch of a note is the frequency of the note, and I hope everyone is okay with the idea that sound is an oscillation in the air, and the pitch of a sound is related to how fast those sound waves are moving. So in concert pitch, concert A, let's say that note there, is 440 hertz. Okay, that is the pitch of that particular sound. Okay, so pitch is the frequency of the sound, and I'm saying that really carefully because it doesn't have to be a musical note. If you were to analyse my speech right now and put it into a digital sound processor or something, you would be able to identify the pitches of my speech. And I'm not singing, but I'm speaking in this pitch to my note. If there wasn't, I would be speaking on one tone like this. It would be a monotone. Cars have pitch. As you pull away in your car, the pitch will rise. Okay, it's all down to the frequency of the sound. Now, a note is a specific musical sound. Okay, so you can say the note of the engine is a G. That's fine, but the engine isn't specifically producing that musical sound. You can relate it to a note. So this is 440 hertz, but this is also an A. Okay, we're giving it a name because it's being used in a musical context. Having said that, an A doesn't have to be 440 hertz. Okay, the pitch of a modern concert A is 440 hertz, but it used to be lower. In the Baroque era, so we're talking about in the time of Bach and Vivaldi and so on, A was anything from about 408 hertz to 420, and depending on where you lived in the world, different people used a different A to tune their instruments. And so an A could have been that. In fact, when we sang Messiah, those of us in self-isolation choir, we sang everything at Baroque pitch, which was about a semitone lower. So A was 415. So pitch is the frequency. The note is the specific named sound. Then the tone. Some people say, 12-tone scale and so on. Tone is a tricky one. And we do tend to use tone to describe the quality or the timbre of a pitch. And the timbre is a really interesting word. I used to get asked this all the time at school. What is timbre? Timbre, timbre. It's the quality of the sound that makes it recognisable as that instrument or that voice. Possibly the best example is if you pick up the phone and you call somebody that you know really well. When they answer the phone, not only can you tell who it is just from the sound of their voice, but you can tell what mood they're in, and that's the timbre of their voice. Okay, when I speak, if I sing ah, if my wife would come in and sing ah on that pitch, her voice would have a different timbre because she has a different instrument, a different set of pipes, as it were. If we were to get a flute to play that note, and a violin to play that note, and a double bass to play that note, they're all the same note, but they have a different timbre, they have a different quality to their voice. And then finally the key. Well, the key is the harmonic kind of centre of the piece. When you combine all of these pitches into a key, that then gives you, it's like a set of ingredients that you then go on to make a recipe with, or to follow a recipe with. All right, so I hope that makes sense. We're going to move on, but if you have any specific questions about that, drop me an email. My email is ben@homechoir.uk, and I love hearing from you, so do drop me a line, and I'll answer those questions if I can. So today, everybody, I've been talking about minor keys, and we've just been looking less than an hour ago at the tenor and bass parts for the Haydn Little Organ Mass that we looked at yesterday, and we're going to be obviously basing today's session on that work. Now, the work itself was written in the key of B flat major. We sang the Gloria in G. Okay, and I'm just going to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, this lovely chart which I've been displaying most weeks, this circle of fifths here, and I want you to have a little look, and I want you to find the capital G for me. Okay, on the circle, find the capital G. There it is. Okay, and on that G, we've got a little attached key signature here. And those of you that remember, your Father Charles Goes Down and Ends Battle. Okay, we have one sharp, so that means that has to be an F sharp. Has to be an F sharp, because that's the order that they come in our system. And then we think up a semitone from that last sharp in the key signature. In this case, there is only one F sharp. Think up a semitone from F sharp. We get the key of G. Okay, now the key of G, as hopefully we know, well, it only has one sharp in it. So if we play from G, we get G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. Okay, and that F sharp G is really, really important to the way that Western classical music has evolved. We have gotten really used to hearing this and this, that this note has to rise by a semitone to here. Okay, that is a really, it's baked in to our society, isn't it? So there, yeah. We hear it everywhere. If you hear that dum dum da 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 dum dum, that note really, really wants to move there, doesn't it? It has a pull, okay? And that's why we call it the leading note. The seventh note of the scale is the leading note. So if we're in the key of G, the F sharp being the penultimate note is the leading note. And that's a really, really important thing to have in your head as we move into today's session. Okay, so we've been talking about the key of G, which has one sharp. Now, minor keys. Minor keys. You might be interested to hear that major and minor keys are actually very closely related. In fact, in some ways they are different sides of the same coin. And we see that throughout human culture, throughout human society. You know, you often get the pairs. You get the moon and the sun. You get the sea and the land. You get the earth and the stars and so on. Here, major and minor, yin and yang, come together. And what I want you to do, folks, please, is to have a look at this circle of fifths chart here. And you see all the capital letters around the outside. Well, they refer to the major keys. And we've been talking almost exclusively about those over the last 6-7 weeks. But if you look closely, there's an inner circle here, okay, with smaller letters, all in lowercase, okay, so not capitals, all in lowercase, and these are the minor keys, ladies and gents, okay, so the inner grey circle here refers to the minor keys, the outer circle with the capital letters is major, and then you've got the key signature for both, okay, so the key signature for G is F sharp, the key signature for E minor is also 1 F sharp. Okay, and we're going to focus primarily on this concept over the course of today. I don't want to leave people behind. This is a really important concept. So the G is the major key signature. E minor is the minor key signature, and there is a pattern to it. Okay, you think down a minor third. Okay, down 3 notes of the scale will give you the minor. So if we're in C. Okay, C's at the top of our chart here. Okay, C, no sharps, no flats, nice and easy. Okay, so we've got da 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 da, leading notes. We're in C. Okay, if we go down 3 notes in the scale, including the first note. Okay, so if we start on C here, and we go down 3 notes, go C, B, A. Okay, and then we play. We have A minor. And I know that didn't sound quite right, and I shall explain why in a moment, but that is A minor. A minor has no sharps, no flats in the key signature at all. Okay, so if you see a key signature like this, okay, completely blank, just with the treble clef or bass clef, whatever clef, and no sharps, no flats, it is either C major or A minor. And we will discuss how you can spot the difference in just a minute, and it's related to that leading note idea. But let's go round the circle. Let's just see how far can we take this. Well, we've been talking about G and E minor, and we're going to come back to that with the Haydn in a moment. But let's go round a little bit further. Let's be brave. Let's go round to E major. Ooh, that's a tricky one. So E major, down here we have 4 sharps. So go through the process with me, everybody. I know you've all been practicing this, but let's count the sharps. Father Charles goes down. So F, C, G, D. And this is the order that it comes in. There's no negotiation. This is the order that we have to have for the system. 4 sharps. The last sharp is D sharp. We think up a semitone and we have E. Okay, so E major. Okay, if I play from E to E with those sharps, with those notes sharpened, we get a nice major scale. Okay, now if I go 3 notes down from E, including the E, okay, if I go 3 notes down the scale, so it goes E, D sharp, C sharp, we have C sharp minor. Okay, lovely, lovely key. Beethoven liked it a lot. And so on. Okay, so C sharp minor has 4 sharps. You see? And let's just quickly, before we move on, I want to make sure everyone's happy. So remember, you have the major key on around the outside. You think 3 notes down the scale, including the first note of the scale. Okay, think down 3 notes, and you'll end up with the minor. Let's go round this way. Let's go to B flat major here. Okay, and remember the flats works in a slightly different system. Battle ends and down goes Charles's father. It's the other way round. And what you do is you count your flats. In this case, there are 2. And you think back 1 flat, and that gives you the name of it. So battle ends, 2 flats. Think back 1, that gives you battle B flat major. Okay, B flat major. So if I start on B flat and I play from B flat to B flat with an E flat as well, there's my major scale. If I think down 3 notes, so from B flat, let's think down together. So back 1 is A, and back another one is G. So G minor has the same key signature as B flat major, and I hope everyone is okay with that so far. All right, so this chart is your friend when it comes to that point of view. Okay, it'll give you the major and the minor uses of the key signatures. But what's that? I hear you cry. How can you tell the difference? Well, this is where the leading note comes in, and I'm just going to refer to this chart here. Okay, I don't want you to worry about the chords. I just want you to look here at the names of these different notes. We know about the tonic, we know about the dominant, we've spoken a bit about the subdominant. Don't worry about the others, but leading note here, leading note, the seventh note of the scale, seventh degree, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This thing that has a pull to here. Okay, this has become, as I say, baked in to our musical consciousness, into our musical culture, and so it's really important to remember that we expect, in order to finish a piece satisfactorily, we want that so there sound. Okay, now let me show you this, everybody. No, let me show you this first of all. Okay, so and for some people this will make your eyes spin. If that's the case, don't worry, because we're going to move on and talk about something a bit simpler. But this is how a major and minor scale is put together. Okay, there is a set pattern that if you start on any pitch and you follow this pattern, you'll get either a major or a minor scale. Okay, the major scale goes like this. It's tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, and those are the distances between the notes. So if we start here on C, okay, here is my C, and I'm going to move up a tone. So I'm going to go up a full tone. I'm not going to go up a semitone. I'm going to go up a tone. So tone, up another tone, then it's a semitone, so it's just next door, up a tone, up a tone, up a tone, up a semitone. So let's do that. I start on C, go up a tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Okay, and here I appreciate we are using the word tone to describe note and pitch. This is just the convention that we're using. Okay, tone and semitone. Right. Now the minor scale, here's our C, so we move up a tone, a semitone, a tone, a tone, a semitone, a tone, and a tone. That is how minor scales are put together. Now we'll come back to that on a future session. For those of you that's made your eyes spin, just park that in the back of your head. There is a way that you can construct a major and minor scale once you understand how the notes are put together. That's the bare bones of it. Okay, now I'm going to leave that now and come back to that in the future session, because I want to talk specifically about the E minor scale. Okay, so we've just to quickly re-establish, the Haydn that we've been looking at over the last couple of days is in G major. This movement we're looking at in G major. G major has 1 sharp, and that is F sharp. And so if we were to look at this key signature here, you would be forgiven for thinking, well, that's E minor. Well, not E minor, that's G major, I should say. That's G major because it's got 1 sharp and it's F. But there are various clues that will tell you. Okay, first of all, it starts on an E and it finishes on an E. So that will usually give you an idea. Look for the starting and finishing notes. If you want to know, is it in the minor or the major, check the key signature. So it's either going to be C major or A minor. Look at the starting notes. Look at the finishing notes. Does it start and finish on A or on C? And that will give you a clue. Okay. The other thing is to look out for the leading note. And this is where I'm going to have to ask everybody to take a leap of faith with me. Because in order for minor scales to make sense in our culture, in Western classical music, you have to put in what's called a sharpened leading note. And this is the real clue. If you're looking at a piece of music, this is the thing that will tell you whether you're in the major or minor key, because you look for the sharpened leading note. Now, the reason we have to sharpen the leading note at all is because what I've been saying, we expect this sound. Dum, 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 dum. But in the natural minor scale, that is the scale that is kind of evolved through physics and the way that we have developed this system, the natural minor scale has no sharpened leading note. Okay, this is what the natural minor scale, as kind of dictated by the rules of music, this is how it should sound. Okay, just with the 1 sharp. Do you hear? It sounds minor. It doesn't have that same poignancy, it doesn't have that same pull as the major scale, it doesn't have that sharp and leading note. Let me play it again. E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E. That's the natural minor scale, and it's very sad. But this is what people are expecting. What people are expecting is this one, the harmonic minor scale, where we will artificially raise the leading note. And it sounds like this. And I always used to play this to students and they say, it sounds Egyptian. And it kind of does, doesn't it? And what we have to do in Western classical music is we sharpen the leading note when we are in a minor key. So we get this. Yeah? There's the leading note. Now it's not in the key, but composers have been doing it for centuries to create that sound. I've got a little slide here which may make it a bit easier to understand. In a minor scale, the leading note is a tone away from the tonic. Okay, in the natural scale, how it's put together, it's a tone away. It doesn't sound satisfying. That doesn't sound like we're finished. Whereas what we want is, and now we're finished. And so composers have been sharpening the leading note in minor scales in order to create this sense of natural resolution. Okay, so you look for the accidentals as a clue. So if we're in G major, you might think we're in G major, but we could also be in E minor. If we're in E minor, you're looking for D sharps. If you see a D sharp, that's your sharpened leading note, and that tells you you are in E minor. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm now going to bring up our Haydn here. Oh, I'm going to need to change screens for this. Let's see, have I got this all set up? Yes, I have. Marvellous. Okay, so bear with me a minute, folks. There we go. So here we are with Haydn, and let's just have a quick glance through this. So we are in G major. Okay, we've got one sharp here. We're starting on a G. Okay, we've got a G here in the bass, we've got a B, we've got G. It's very clearly G major. Have a quick look here. Can we see on this in this opening section, if I scroll along a little bit, can we see any D sharps at all? No. Okay, we've got, excuse me, the scrolling is a little bit slow on my machine here. So we've got the first bar here is all notes of G major. Et in terra pax hominibus. So chord 1, chord 5, chord 5, chord 1. All right, very, very typical. We've been talking a lot about this on the channel. Laudamus te. Adoramus te. Glorificamus te. So it's all in G major, and Haydn is reinforcing this idea of, you know, tonic and dominant and tonic and dominant all the way through. Okay, gratias agimus tibi propter maniam gloriam tuam. We are still in the major. Domine, Domine Deus. Now, if I scroll along here, what we'll start to see is a few C sharps. Okay, if I scroll, hang on, where are we? Bear with me a second, folks. I'm going to use the slider down here. There we are. Okay, so can you see down here where the green line is? We've got some C sharps here. Now, the C sharps are being introduced because we're starting to move towards D major, C sharp being the leading note here. But look. Just a few bars later, what do we see? Hang on. What do we see? D sharps, everybody. There's D sharps in the basses. Dum, dum, da, dum, da, 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 dum. Are we starting to move towards E minor? Well, let's have a look here. Bar 24. We've got Domine. Hang on. You can't see bar 24. There it is. So right here on your screens, Domine, Domine Deus. Yeah? Sorry, folks. It's not playing ball. Domine Fili. There it is. Okay, sorry. So D sharps here. Domine, D sharp, E, D sharp, E. Now that is a dead giveaway that we are looking at a section in E minor. because we have nothing else going on in the, the key signature hasn't changed. We're still looking at just one F sharp, but there's D sharps everywhere. Okay, it might be here. You might see it in the alto part. In fact, there is an alto D sharp. Okay, this is your clue. This is telling you this section here is in a minor key because we have an accidental, we've got a key signature that backs it up, and if we look at our circle of fifths, bear with me a second, back to this from earlier on, excuse me, look at our circle of fifths. Well, we don't have a D sharp in this key signature, it must be E minor. And so let's just do a little exercise here, and I'm going to ask for your comments on this. So I'm going to bring your comments back. There we are. Hello, everybody. So let's try a little exercise. We know that if we're in the key of G, if we suspect that it's going to be an E minor, we're looking for D sharps. So my question to you is, if the key signature is two sharps, what major key could it be? And if it's the minor, what accidental are we looking for? Let me know in the comments. Okay, we've got a key signature, two sharps. Okay, little clue. What major key could it be? And if it's the minor version of this, what accidentals are we looking for? Let me know. I'm going to have a sip of my coffee while you answer. Cheers. So Terry is first to answer. It would be D major, would be the major scale. Absolutely right. Sue, absolutely right as well. Two sharps would mean D major. But if it was the minor, and we'll talk about the specific name for it in a minute, what accidentals would we be looking for? You can see on the chart, if you find D, you can see the minor scale, or the minor key. So if it's got to be the sharpened leading note that you're looking for, Peter's got it. Well done. Well done, Peter. Absolutely right. What we call the relative minor, and this is the term for it, folks. If you ever see the term relative major, relative minor, it's because you can use the same key signature for both a major and a minor key. If you have D major, the relative minor is B minor. If you have B minor, the relative major is D major. Okay, and yes, you are looking for A sharps. Now Terry has said B flat, and that's really, really interesting. You've said that, Terry. Well done. If you look here, you can see on my little chart. I'm going to make this a bit bigger here. Oh, he said. I'm just going to bring it to the front. To the front. There we go. Okay, if you can see here, we've got A sharp and B flat. They both occupy the same space. And this is a really good opportunity for me to talk about this, because people say, what's the difference? It's all down to the context. Okay? It's all down to context. If this note is here as part of this scale, then it's an A sharp, because it's part of the B minor scale. It has to be an A sharp, because it has to be an A to lead to the B. If, however, if we're playing this as part of this chord, then it's a B flat, because we're starting on B flat, and it's much, much easier to write B flat rather than A sharp. Okay, so again, people's eyes are spinning. If you're one of those people, don't worry about it. That was a bit of advanced technique. We will look at this in more detail, but here this is known as an enharmonic change. Okay, you can have either A sharp or B flat depending on the context on which the note is used. Okay, it's like a linguistic term. So A sharp, well done, everybody, fabulous. Let's do another one, because you folks are clearly very, very good at this. You're all naturals. So don't B flat. Yes. So let's try one of the flat keys, shall we? Okay. One of my favourite, in fact, let's go for my absolute favourite flat key, which is A flat major. I love A flat major. I don't know why, it just feels really solid. I think it's also because I'm a big Scott Joplin fan, and one of the first pieces I learned was, which is the Maple Leaf Rag in A flat. So look, if we're in A flat major, 4 flats, what's the minor? Okay, what's the relative minor of A flat major? And therefore, what is our leading note? Which note are you going to be looking for? And this is going to be a tricky one. Okay, this one's going to be a tricky one. Let me know. Heather is saying, in the world of guitarists, the D major chord links with the B minor chord. Exactly, Heather. In fact, bear with me a moment, everybody. Now you mention it. Got to get the instrument. That's because, Heather, that's the relative major and the relative minor. I have no idea if this thing's in tune. It's not. Close enough. Okay, so if we start with C, here's the C, A minor, C, A minor. And you hear that relationship. We're really used to that. Here's G, E minor, G, E minor. You see, if you're used to that sound, that very Western pop and rock sound, we're used to the sound of the major followed by the relative minor. Okay, and so hopefully for some of you this is starting to turn on a few lights. Well done. So F minor, says Glennis, absolutely right, and the leading note is E natural, okay, not E sharp. A couple of people with brilliant guessing have suggested E sharp, but there isn't an E sharp. There isn't a semitone between E and F. Okay, if we look at this, and this is absolutely brilliant this has happened. Those of you that said E natural are correct, because if we look in the key signature, we have B, E, A, and D in the key signature. So if we play F, we play F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, F. But if we sharpen that E flat, it becomes E natural. And that's our leading note. Okay? So I appreciate this is heavy stuff, everybody. This is I can feel the cogs in people's brains turning, and I know how it feels because it wasn't that long ago that I was in this same situation. I would honestly suggest, depending on how you consume music, if you listen exclusively to it, listen to some pieces in major and minor keys. If you play an instrument at all, piano, guitar, any instrument, play some pieces in different keys and look out, particularly in minor keys, look out for those sharpened leading notes. If you're in a sharp key, that is to say if your key signature uses sharps, you'll be looking for more sharps. If your key signature is flats, you may well be looking for natural signs. Okay, that will be your accidentals, and we'll do a bit more work on this next week. What we're going to do for now, I think we're just going to, we'll leave it for today. Remember the whole business of the sharpened leading note, folks. See if you can spot in whatever you've got coming up. Now, if you're in Elijah, of course, altos, we've got a rehearsal this evening. Have a look during Elijah for some of those sharpened leading notes. See if you can spot the keys. See if you can spot whether we're in minor or in the major mode. And then next week, we're going to talk a little bit about how all of this comes together to create a melody. Okay, the actual crafting of a melody, which is really fascinating and really leads us into some new areas, including composition, which will be something we'll be starting fairly soon. So well done, everybody. Well managed. I hope that was all right. I hope you didn't need extra air on today's deep dive. Now, I'm going to log off now, and I'll be back at 5 o'clock for the alto rehearsal for Self-Isolation Choir. Home Choir, of course, is back on Friday with the Fun Friday Sing, and this week it's all about friendship. We're going to learn that lovely song, Walking Along, singing the song, side by side. Great song, and I can't wait to learn that one with you. Join me on Sunday, please, for the Sacred Sing, where we will sing this wonderful, wonderful Haydn, starting with the Kyrie and the Gloria, Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring, Noyana, all our favourites. And next week, well, I'll tell you what we're doing next week when I see you on Friday. Have a great day, everybody. Do take care. Do consider joining the Patreon if you haven't already done so. Really, really do appreciate all your help on that. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps us. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers at some point, so it'd be great if you would join us, and I'll see you very soon. Take care, everybody. Have a good day. Bye-bye.